Greetings agents, this is the Mediocre Gamer. Thank you for tuning in today, I really appreciate it. I'm really glad you're here and I hope that you are doing well. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment and share so that I can keep making videos. Today we are talking about the new named SMG entitled the Slingshot. If you have been playing along with the summer event, then you would have received this as a reward once you completed the set tasks. So if we have a look at the actual Slingshot, it has the caption, "Set your sights far, not high." The reason that sets this SMG apart from pretty much any other SMG in the game is its optimal range, which is 60 meters, and that is encroaching on rifle territory. So yes, it has quite a bit of optimal range, but it does lack in a few other areas, namely weapon damage, RPM, and handling and accuracy. The one I got dropped with critical hit damage, and I didn't want to re-roll that to damage to targets out of cover because I wanted to play around with the weapon talents. Did see quite a bit of negative feedback towards this SMG on social media, Reddit and Facebook, so forth. And it's probably not unwarranted. It's, the UMP is a fairly mid-range SMG. It's not the best weapon. But I wanted to maybe create a build around taking advantage of the optimal range. Not necessarily turning it into a sniper rifle or anything like that, but just something to do with it that wasn't associated with a striker build or a Hunter's Fury build or something like that. So that was what I wanted to do with this build. And I knew that I'd probably need to do something around accuracy, stability, and weapon handling. So that's kind of what I tried to focus on. I also assumed that this would have a fairly high time to kill for elite hostiles. So some of the choices that I have made in the build reflect that. As far as talents go, there were 3 that I kind of used. So Killer. Killing an enemy with a critical hit grants 70% critical hit damage for 10 seconds. Unwavering, so swapping to this weapon grants 300% weapon handling for 5 seconds. Kills refresh the buff, and swapping away disables this from all weapons for 5 seconds. And Ranger amplifies weapon damage by 2% for every 4 meters you are away from your target. I did find that I had more success with the damage talents, so Killer and Ranger. That's probably just more relating to my playstyle and also probably a skill issue as I kind of struggled to keep Unwavering up all the time. Also went a bit crazy with the mods, so I slapped on 3 accuracy mods and a stability mod. There's no expertise on this one in the footage that you're seeing. It's basically just I fully optimized all the attributes. So SMG damage, critical hit chance, and critical hit damage. So if we have a bit of look at the build that I put together for it. So it's 3-piece Legatus, 1 Gruppo, and Fox's Prayers. I used an assault turret and a reviver hive. So if we just break the build down now, so starting with the chest piece, which was the named Gruppo Door Kicker's Knock. So Gruppo comes with, 1 piece comes with 13% critical hit damage. You can see here I've got 15% weapon damage and critical hit chance and critical hit damage. This actually comes with the talent Perfect Spark. So damaging enemies with a skill increases total weapon damage by 18% for 20 seconds. So I kind of knew with this weapon that I would need to spend a bit of time in cover. I would need to choose a talent that kind of gave me instant damage rather than building up stacks. I did think about using Glass Cannon, but in the end I went with Perfect Spark. The reason being is that not only do I get that 18% weapon damage immediately, the turret that I throw out to proc this talent also acts as a bit of a distraction or a decoy. So I throw the turret out first, it starts firing at hostiles, they focus on that, and then while the hostiles are focused on my turret, I am then able to shoot at them, basically. So that was my thought process for choosing this particular piece. The backpack is obviously Legatus, so 3 pieces of Legatus give us 30% swap speed, another 70% optimal range, and 15% weapon damage on top of the 6 weapon cores we already have. So a bit more weapon damage there, and speccing into crit damage and crit chance on the minor attributes. And I went with Composure. So while in cover, increases total weapon damage by 15%. You know, I could have gone with Vigilance, but I lose that buff if I take damage. So I thought, well, I'm going to be spending a fair bit of time in cover anyway. I don't have to worry about building stacks or anything like that. It's just straight out 15% weapon damage. So that's why I chose Composure. It's not really a run and gun build. I wouldn't be, you know, out of cover or things like that. I just thought I'd be in cover for most of the combat. So that's why I went with Composure. Holster, once again, another Legatus piece with weapon damage, crit hit chance, crit hit damage. The named mask, Legatus Mask Visionaro, which gives us another 50% optimal range, as well as more weapon damage, crit hit chance, and crit hit damage. And then Fox's Prayer, the named Overlord knee pads, which gives us 8% damage to targets out of cover, just to try and make up for the fact that I hadn't been able to put that onto the weapon itself. So 8% damage to targets out of cover. For the gloves, I went with the named Zwia piece called Eagle's Grasp. So one piece gives an extra 15% to the magazine size, as well as maximum attribute of 15% weapon handling, which I thought would come in handy with this build. Also, we've got some weapon damage as a core attribute and some crit hit damage as a minor attribute. I went with Gunner Spec for the 10% armor on kill, some weapon handling, some faster reload, some rate of fire, and another 15% increased SMG damage. If we have a look at the stats, my crit hit chance was at 52.7% and my crit hit damage was at 162.3%. So all together, I didn't actually mind using the Slingshot. It does have a few drawbacks, mainly RPM and 25 rounds in the mag. You know, I probably could have swapped out a mod piece to get a little bit of extra rounds in the mag, but this is the build that I ended up going with, and I didn't mind it. It seemed to go okay. I was going reasonably well with heroic content, but as far as a recommendation, well, it's probably not something I'm going to use every day. In fact, it'll probably wind up in my stash. I might pull it out again one day, but it's not really something that I'm going to be using every day. It doesn't really sync with my playstyle, so to speak. I would be keen to hear your thoughts. Did you get the Slingshot? Did you like it? What build were you using with it, Agents? I'd love to hear your feedback on your build and also on my build. Anything you think I could have done differently. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And that's all for now. Until next time, you stay safe out there, Agents, and take care.
Take out that agent. If the Rat Queen is gonna make another play for the bridge, we need the depot. Get your shit together and kill that motherfucker.